So we went down and we talked to everyone in NASCAR, the Earnhardts, Richard Childress, the Gibbs, Rick Hendrick, and we found a team that Rick Hendrick was providing technology to called MB2 Sports. And we had a deal in place to acquire the team, and we were going to announce that we were going to run in the Daytona 500 5 years ago in January, and we were going to compete in February. And Reggie called me Christmas night, said he was going to the movies with his family, and he was excited because we were going to sign the deal, and then the next morning I got the call that he had passed away. All of us that really had his vision and his passion, not just for the sport, but the impact it could have on these young people, we were just like, you know, without Reggie's vision, let's just put it on hold and wait a while. So over the course of the next year and a half, it started to gnaw at me because I felt like we had a lot of unfinished business. Ironically, a friend of a friend of a friend called me because Teresa Earnhardt was looking for a president of Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. I met with Teresa, and the fascinating thing about that conversation was I was told that she had interviewed 72 people for the job, and we connected on everything but race and gender. She had this vision for where she wanted to go. We were talking about working on a documentary together, which became very successful. She saw a few years ago that the sport had to change its business model because the sponsorship model wasn't going to work the way that it was. So she offered me the job to come down there. There had never been a person of color at that company. Going down as the president of global operations, 500 employees, $150 million a year operating budget. And I looked at my wife and I was like, what am I about to get myself into? So I got to go down to Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. My arrival was met with huge controversy because in the Wall Street Journal article announcing my coming down there, Teresa asked Dale Jr. if he wanted to be a race car driver or a rock star. And so my first official duty was to go down to the Daytona 500, and I get off our team plane and they rush me to the media center, and I'm completely attacked by 200 reporters, literally hit me in the head with microphones, and they want to know how I felt about Dale Jr.'s demand. And I was like, what demand? And he had literally just gotten off TV and said if he didn't get 51% or controlling interest in the company that he was leaving. So with no prep, I just basically said, well, he's a world-class athlete and he's very aggressive, and if he didn't want it all for himself, then I probably wouldn't want to work with him anyway. I don't know if he'll get it, but that doesn't intimidate me. And the two of us, based on background and history and how we were raised, hit it off. And he basically endorsed me to the NASCAR community and said, I don't know if we'll get a deal done. If anyone can, it would be Max. And I just really am glad that he's here at Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. What I found in terms of an opportunity for diversity and inclusion and growing the fan base is that NASCAR is a pretty unique community. It is a community that I believe that's united by a common passion of providing two things: the best possible race, which is their product on a weekly basis. People are very passionate about how the racing is, and the ultimate fan experience. I have found that the NASCAR community is truly one where everybody is appreciated and respected for their contribution. So if you ever watch a race, you'll find the celebrities, the stars, literally seconds before they get in their car signing autographs with the fans. You won't see very many drivers walk past a fan. I don't care who you are, where you come from, where they don't stop and sign an autograph. People understand that the fans are the ones who support it. The sponsors are the ones that support the sport. And quite frankly, the biggest transition for me after 17 years behind the scenes was my job was the same kind of visibility as a head coach. My track operations supervisor came to me and said, you sign everything that any fan ever gives you, because they remember it, and this is the lifeblood of the sport, and if they care enough to ask, then you need to take the time to do it. And I think that that's the attitude that everyone in the sport has, every single one of the stakeholders, from the fans to the teams, the drivers, the sponsors. The media is pretty integrated in the sport. The licensees benefit, and it's an extension of the brand. The auto manufacturers and the tracks. I believe, especially today more than any other time in history, that diversity is not just a socially responsible thing to do. What we found with ratings down, attendance down, sponsorship down in NASCAR, that NASCAR's future growth and opportunity depends on diversity in the sport and inclusion. NASCAR's #1 strategic business initiative from the chairman down is diversity. when I decided that I had worked for everyone else my entire career, and I did want to follow my passion and my dream of starting a race team, I went and talked to Brian France, who's the chairman of NASCAR. Brian asked me to oversee the Drive for Diversity program, which is the flagship program in NASCAR. It is a grassroots program geared towards introducing the sport to a wide array of people and creating opportunities for pit crew development and drivers. I went out and I hired one of the most accomplished pit crew coaches, who's also African American in the sport, Phil Horton. We bought a facility and we brought him in like every other athlete. We went out and recruited, we trained him, we placed a few last year on truck teams. We started to see that we were developing talent that teams throughout the sport became interested in. If you read anything about the Drive for Diversity program in NASCAR, it's typically criticized more than it is, applauded. And I think that any industry that makes diversity a strategic business initiative and puts millions of dollars into it, it's a huge accomplishment. So it's up to us, those in the industry, to take that vision and make it a reality.